All right, we've just completed charging. This was 650 grams YF refrigerant in this 2018 Toyota Tundra. And I was really surprised to find out that this Toyota Tundra does not have an electric fan. It has a old school thermal fluid clutch fan from the 1960s, 1970s. And very surprising. What really tuned me into the problem was when I first started it up, the high side went all the way up to 240 PSI, and I'm going, what the hell is this? And then the clutch kicked in under its first starting. It had a high airflow. Then it went way down. The fan started spinning really slow. It was almost free floating, barely spinning at all. And the pressure went all the way up to 212 PSI, and it was staying there. And I was going, something's not right, and it doesn't sound right. And I put my hand there. I don't feel a lot of airflow. I looked, I was trying to look through the engine compartment to see if they had a fan mounted in the shroud in front of the mechanical engine fan. You know, like on Lincoln Town cars, they had an electric fan and then they had an engine fan, but there was nothing there. Then I went to the front of the vehicle and looked inside, and there was no electric fan there either. I'm going, I wonder if the body shop employee, the technician who bought this car, decided to save some money and not put it on. I had to go ask him, and he says, no, there is no electric fan on this vehicle. And from past history, we all know thermal fluid driven fan clutches start losing their efficiency somewhere around 30,000 miles to 50, but this is a Toyota. It's not no Chevy, GM, or Chrysler piece of crap that is definitely going to be almost bad. I mean, good enough to cool the engine, but really poor AC performance at idle because the fluid fan clutch starts slowing down more and more as it gets older. Toyotas last a lot longer. But yeah, 2018 Tundra, no electric fan. You're just dealing off a mechanical fan, thermal fluid clutch at the front of the engine only. So be prepared to see some funny high side stuff going on there if you're used to electric fans. Other than that, what do we got going on here? We have, as you can see right here, we're just looking at superheat and subcooling. As you can see it bouncing around. The clutch is kicking on. Now this is a variable displacement compressor, but it has a clutch, and the clutch is kicking on and off constantly. You can see I'm sitting here. It's a nice bright day. There's the sun, and this has been sitting in the sun all day. Our idle temperature, there we go, and you'll see it go up and down because this clutch is kicking in and out. It's cooled off. This is a large cab. It's a Tundra with the extra cab in the back, so it's a very big interior, like a large full-size sedan. So this air conditioning has to take care of that, and it's black interior. But looks like we're getting down to 43 degrees, 42 degrees out the dash there. And let's take a look at let's see what happens if I raise the idle on this one. Let's see how this responds. So I'm going to take the idle. Looks like it's like 750 RPMs over there. And let me take it up to about 1200 RPMs and see what happens on this particular vehicle. We got a little, let's see if it jumps back up though. It's going to recover and go back up there to 42, 43. Even though I'm keeping the engine RPMs up there 1200, 1300, somewhere right around in there. I could tell that the clutch is cycling, but basically the temperature is staying flat. You know, it has a little bit of movement. The clutch kicks out. So let's put a little load on this thing. Let's take a look at it in this direction. Now we're going to graft it. I still have my foot keeping it around 1250, 1300 RPMs. Let's look what it looks like in a graft. So the temperature jumps up, the temperature jumps down. Just like a standard clutch type, on and off, because there's not enough load. Even though I think it's only 74 or 76 degrees here in Redwood City, but this vehicle, black interior, has been sitting in the sun. You see 4:20 p.m. and this vehicle has been sitting here all morning roasting inside the sun. So there's an interior heat load it's taking care of. So now let me put it on to off recycle, and let's put it on to fresh air mode. Let's get some of that hot air. You see that hot air out there? See where it says 70 degrees up here? You see that? That's the location of my air probe outside before it could take over the hot air from outside. So let's take some of that hot air in instead of this interior, because we're already cooled off in here. So, hey, why don't you go? Oh, it's on max. Let's get it off max. Boom, right there, off. So now we'll be taking in some of that hot air right from outside. And as you already see, boom, you see the big spike right there? It just changed. Let me open that up a little bit. It is now sucking in air because the fresh air door underneath here went from recycle, and it's sealed off the recycle, and it's now grabbing air from outside. So it's putting this load 104. It doesn't like I have double gloves on. I have 2 pairs of gloves, so my screen doesn't like. It went up to 100, a little over 107. So that's 107 and went higher. So I'm going to say it went up to 110, 111 degrees at its peak. Now you see the temperature steadying out. The clutch is no longer going off and on. Why is the clutch no longer going off and on? Because now we have a load, and what the hell just happened there to cause that? We didn't go into recycle mode. That was a very abrupt. So that must be the outside exterior fan kicking on and off, blowing the air really hard from the engine past the radiator, and then the fan is calming down and going up and calming down. So that is what we must be reading outside at the Crowell, at the fresh air intake vent. And as you can see, I'm holding the RPMs around 1100, trying to keep it around 1100 to 1200. And we have a very flat line going on here. Let's see what our temperature is. 43 degrees. Let's see if I could get this to focus. Okay, there we go. So remember at idle, we were around 43, 42 degrees. And now we have 1300 RPMs about, and we're still 43 degrees. Nothing has changed. We went from cabin air, cool temperature. We went all the way up to outside air. What went as high as 113 degrees right there, 104 degrees, 112 degrees, 111 degrees, and see our lows are 77, 70, 82, you know, around in there. You can see for yourself, this is the load of the air going over the evaporator. And as soon as we put a load on it, the clutch stops cycling. And this is a variable displacement compressor. Don't forget that. 120 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's way out there. That is not the exact mixed air temperature. That is just at that point at the Crowell, which is very inaccurate. I would have to take the temperature gauge and put it on top of the air filter under the dash up above the air blower motor to get the mixed air temperature, which is probably closer to about 101, 105 degrees. I'm still holding it over around 1200 RPMs. 46 degrees coming out the dash. And you can see our average temperature is climbing. It's no longer, there goes a dip right there. And as it was climbing, so was our dash temperature. From 43, it went up to 46, and you could see the slight incline going upwards. So now I'm going to turn it back to recycle. Let's go back to max. There we go, we're max. And we're recycling. We can hear the difference of the air because the fresh air vent is closing off the fresh air from outside, and it is now taking the air that's inside the vehicle, and you could see the low side plummet. down to 42 degrees. And you could see I stopped the airflow of the outside air going across that sensor that is sitting outside below the hood out on the corral. It no longer has a fast airflow of hot air from the engine, so it too is falling. And now the clutch is starting to cycle. This is the variable displacement clutch, and the physical clutch on the variable displacement compressor is starting to cycle the clutch on and off because we have reached minimum load. All right, I think this video is getting long enough. Just another variable displacement compressor with a clutch on it and no electric fan. That's if we want the grass pressures. I got to get out of here. I got to go pick up a tool I left at a shop before coming here. They called me up and said I left the tool behind. So on my way to another job, I'll stop back at that shop I just left and pick up my lost tool. Thank God I have 2 or 3 of every tool I own. And it makes it advantage. I don't have to pick it up. If I run low on time today, I just leave it there and come back the next day and pick it up on my way as I drive south or north, depending on which direction I go. See you guys.